Well, we have a short video to share with you. And so we are going to run that video to let you know who the Glazers are.
I've heard from a number of our colleagues that you're complaining that I don't involve you in your team early enough.
So that's what this is about.
I knew I was going to come in here, try to share my feelings with you. I knew you were going to get completely defensive.
Hey, I didn't get defensive. I stood here, I listened to the dribble you put out, I just disagree, that's all.
Fine.
We are the Glasers, and we're global communication consultants, and we have been business partners since our early 20s.
We did our doctoral programs together, and then we moved to Oregon because we got faculty positions at the University of Oregon. And for our entire adult life, we continued to be co-presenters, business partners, faculty members, and researchers, and all parts of our life are inspired by the other parts.
We've been so fortunate that our practice in the first few decades, of course, was throughout the United States and Canada, and then the United Kingdom, New Zealand, Australia, and more recently, Sri Lanka, Singapore, India, Malaysia, and Philippines, Hong Kong.
Our clients range from Microsoft to the United States Congress. We work with entrepreneurs and healthcare organizations and local government around the world because no organization is immune from the damage caused by communication breakdowns. No organization can reach peak performance when people are talking about each other rather than to each other, when people are reluctant to share their ideas and concerns at meetings, and so instead they complain when the meeting is over.
So the first program is a 4-step model for raising issues, and the second is an equally powerful model for responding to criticism and anger.
The course that we call Hardwiring Teamwork, a blueprint for engagement, moves the focus from one-to-one interaction to the team dynamics, specifically at meetings. And let's face it, many people describe meetings as a frustrating waste of time. What we've developed is a systematic formula for running a fast meeting where everyone contributes, and so everyone supports the decisions, and there is no meeting after the meeting where people say what they really think.
The third course we call Persuasion and Influence, and this is how to create and present a powerful presentation that inspires and motivates people to action. And this is important so that the ideas you care most about, the projects you support, actually do get implemented.
And this is where our 35 years of published research come in, because we have looked at the very specific micro-communication behaviors that make a transformative difference. And our online learning platform allows us to reach people all around the globe. And for an individual organization, it means that not just the people who attend our program have access to our work, but everyone within the organization does. Based on our own published research, we have identified ways to make our learning stick. Adult learners really need to have ways to move from knowing to doing, from understanding to behaving, and that's what the focus of our research has been about.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Dr. Susan and Peter Glaser. Welcome to Coffee Hour.
Oh, it's so great to be here.
Well,
So
and good morning to you out on the West Coast, joining us live from Eugene, Oregon.
Yes.
That's where we are.
So let's start right at the very beginning. Tell our audience how you became Penn Staters.
Do you want to go first?
Sure, mine's simple and boring. I was born in Pittsburgh and throughout my entire life it was going to either be Pitt or Penn State, and I wanted to go away. So it was Penn State. Peter's, and I went to Penn State, by the way, as an undergrad,
Right.
never thinking I'd return. But because of the way our life evolved, I then went for my master's and my PhD. So I'm a 3-degree Penn Stater.
Yep, she's a
Nice.
purebred. So I started I'm born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. And I went for undergraduate, Kansas State Teachers College, actually, now Emporia State University. And I had a girlfriend who was going to Penn State, and she said, "Why don't you come with me?" And I said, "Okay."
Well, actually, he said, "It sounds a little complicated." And she said, "I'll fill out all the forms."
Yeah, yes. And she did, and I got in. It was very exciting. So, and then I was there only a few months, and I met Susan, and I switched girlfriends, and that was a lot of years ago. That was in the late.
That was like
in
68 or 69.
Yeah.
That's amazing. What are some of your favorite memories from your time at Penn State?
Well, it was fun reflecting on that, Paul, as we were preparing for being with you. What a fun trip down memory lane to consider those. And I think I would have to start with the way we actually met. Peter and I were both in theater. He was in theater back in Kansas. I was in theater for high school. We were both theater majors, minors at Penn State. So I don't know if it's still like this, but when we were back at Penn State, all of the auditions were in the same week, no matter what play it was. So we kept seeing each other at auditions. And the first time I actually gazed at Peter, I was walking into Schwab Hall,
Right.
or Schwab Auditorium, Schwab
Right.
Hall. And there he was on the stage singing "If I Were a Rich Man," auditioning for Carnival.
Right.
So I thought, whoa, that's somebody I'd like to know better. So I just kind of walked in and sat kind of next to him. And then we were sitting near each other at the callbacks. And then I went to the cast list about 3 days later, only to discover he got the part and I did not. And I was pretty sure he didn't know my name and would never be able to follow up. So I decided to follow up instead. And I knew he was a teaching assistant. So I found out his teaching schedule. And I probably shouldn't admit this, but my roommate and I kind of coiffed me and got me ready all day, borrowing clothes from my friends. And I showed up right outside of his room as his class was getting out. And as he walked out, said, "What are you doing here?" And he said, "I teach here. What are you doing here?" And he said, "You want to go for a walk, or oh no," he said, "You want to go back to my room and see my etchings?" No joke.
I had real etchings.
They
were very nice etchings.
So that was sort of how it all started.
Yeah, it was
Oh,
very
wonderful.
flattering. I had this pretty young co-ed basically stalking me, and I thought, this isn't bad. I like Penn State. So,
And then Peter suggested for this is the sort of attached memory. He said, I don't know if anybody remembers this, but back in the day, it was
blind trust walks were a big thing.
And trust falls, where you just sort of trusted that the people behind you
would catch you, but you blindfold, you walk people around, and it was a way of bonding and becoming more trusting. And we were on the football field.
Because Peter said, if a trust walk is good, imagine how great a trust run would be. So let's go to the football field and do trust runs with each other.
In those days, you can always go on the football field. There was no restrictions. And so I went running, and Susan forgot.
Well, first you let me run. I was the first truster. So I was running, and Peter was saving me from having anything bad happen. And then it's his turn to run, and he could trust that I would save him.
but she let me
Wonderful.
run right into the goalpost. But despite that breaking of trust, we stayed
We
together.
managed to be together.
That is a wonderful story. This is the Penn State Alumni Association's Coffee Hour. I'm Paul Clifford. I'm joined by Peter and Susan Glaser, internationally renowned authors, researchers, and communications consultants. So you do all these trust exercises at Penn State, you graduate, and then you head west. Share a little bit about your career journey and kind of the why behind your work and how that was cultivated during that period.
Well, just to start, it was our Penn State connection that got us the faculty positions at the University of Oregon. We spent all of our summers on the beach of Coney Island. This is a fun, unknown fact. Peter Glaser was the chief lifeguard at Coney Island during all the years I knew him.
Oh, wow.
And so we would study hard for 9 months and then go to the beach for 3. So we came home from the beach one day and the phone rang, and it was our advisor and mentor, Jerry Phillips, who said, a faculty position just opened 5 minutes ago at the University of Oregon. And I think, and this is a direct quote, they might be crazy enough to take both of you. So he said, I want you to call right now and try to get those jobs. And actually, I didn't even want a job at the time. I was 8.5 months pregnant with our first child. And my plan for the next year was that we were going to write our dissertations and learn to be parents. And that's what I told our advisor. And he said, other people have learned to be parents in less than 1 year. I think you have what it takes to do the same thing.
So it was funny when we called the University of Oregon, the department head said, this is amazing. I just hung up with Dr. Gerald Phillips 5 minutes ago. He must really want you to. It was a little embarrassing. I mean, we seemed so hungry. but here was a university willing to give both of us a faculty position. And they did. And we took one look at the University of Oregon. We took one look at Eugene and said, whatever it takes, we're staying. Because I'll tell you, in the 60s, Brooklyn, New York, and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania were not in the best of shape. Eugene, Oregon looked very nice. And we've been here ever since. And that was in 1975.
That's an amazing story. I don't want to, so you mentioned this as an aside, and I know this is not Penn State related, but you mentioned Coney Island lifeguard. There is a storied history behind the lifeguards at Coney Island, and Peter Stein, and the great article from, there was an article in the New Yorker magazine about Boss of the Beach. So I know what it means to be a Coney Island lifeguard. That's a rather amazing distinction.
Wait, this is so amazing that we have, I mean, this is like gobsmacking amazing.
Peter Stein and I were chiefs on different beaches. I can't believe you know his name. I'll have to look that up. So it would be Peter Stein in the New Yorker magazine.
It was in the New York Intelligencer, a great article about the social life of a Coney Island lifeguard. And
oh, I got that.
Oh,
Look at
what
that.
a great lead, Paul.
Thank you.
Fantastic. I was put onto it by the This American Life podcast.
Oh,
And,
I love that.
right. And they mentioned it, and it kind of got me down a wormhole one day, but that's so funny that you mentioned that. That's amazing.
That's
Let's talk about your approach to organizational transformations, right? The work that you all do every day, and you affect these transformations through the principles of effective communication. So maybe walk us through what those principles are and how one can develop them within their organization.
Well, let me say as a prequel to that our education at Penn State was very transformative in how we look at all of that, because we were teaching fellows from the very beginning, and we were working in an environment that really valued pedagogy, the science of teaching. And so we began to look at the lens through not just what is the content that we are becoming expert in,
Right.
but equally important, how do you teach that to people? And so from the very beginning of our career, that was our focus. And that's probably the through line of everything we've done. So fast forward now to organizations. And one of the things that's real clear is people's intentions in organizations are often good. But the way people communicate day in and day out, rather than helping them to resolve conflict, solve problems, and engage together in this endeavor, very often those sorts of conflicts divide people.
Yeah, because the most typical thing we come across in organizations, if somebody has an issue with someone else,
Right.
it's very hard for them to be direct. And so what they do is they complain to a compatriot, to another supervisor, and this indirectness kills an organization, because what happens is people wind up talking to people who they agree with.
Right.
They don't talk to the people who they have the issue with. And so the walls get bigger, and the divide grows further apart. And so what Susan and I have figured out is how to really jump into that gap and really get people to learn how to raise delicate issues in a way that doesn't create defensiveness, but that really allows people to be open and to hear it in a non-defensive manner. We've learned how to teach people to listen even to the most difficult downside feedback in a way that really brings people further together rather than apart. And so much of this really came from our basic grounding at Penn State University, with a wonderful Department of Speech Communication and a wonderful advisor, Dr. Gerald M. Phillips, who really gave us an opportunity to really work out and learn, because he gave us these graduate teaching fellows that took us all over the state. Wherever there was a branch campus, Susan and I started our team teaching. We teach together all the time, by the way.
Right.
She talks more than I do, but we teach together all the time. And we got to go all over the state. And it was just a delightful way to learn, teaching teachers and other administrators in the K through 12 area to really learn how to do this well.
And I think that one of the things that we really did get as part of our graduate education in speech communication was that, and this was the biggest eye opener of my life, when I realized that you can look at communication as with a microscope. You can understand life by understanding step-by-step dynamics of how people say and do what they do, so that it was just a few steps away from designing and developing and researching models that allow people to do that. So, I mean, that's all pretty general. So let me just give you a couple counterintuitive examples of that. So one of the things we've discovered is most useful when you're raising an issue with someone, when you're telling them that they're doing something that's become a problem for you, is to acknowledge you're part of the problem, to be able to say, and listen, I just want to say, I know I'm part of the problem too. I didn't tell you early enough about. I should have brought you into the discussion when. I know I'm part of the problem too.
And what that does is release the other person from feeling blamed. Instead of pitting one person against another, it really focuses more on the problem that's out here, because the other person relaxes because you're being so open about your contribution. It's a very powerful move.
So that's one example of how we intervene in organizational dynamics. It's by introducing these step-by-step models and tools for people to use, and then we discover what are the issues they need to be talking about. Right. And then we give them an opportunity to apply our skill sets to the issues we know they need to discuss.
fascinating. When in my position, right, when team members come to me and want to talk about the issue they're having, the first question that I ask them is, well, did you talk about this with the person that you're having the issue with?
Exactly.
And 9 times out of 10, it's, well, no, I wanted to run it by somebody else first. So what you're saying is actually something that I think all of us experience in our day to day.
Yes.
And also one of the things I look at in terms of an indicator of organizational health is that practice, right? If the team is and the organization is healthy, right? If someone on the team drops the ball, team members go running to that person versus running to the boss if it's an unhealthy environment, right? And
That's a really good way of saying it. Yes, exactly. And it's interesting, Paul, because sometimes when we ask people that, because we ask the same question you just asked, and people will say, no, I wanted to go to a sounding board first.
Right.
Well, it's interesting who people choose as their sounding board. Is it somebody who's really going to give you an alternate perspective? Or is it somebody who you know is so aligned with your point of view that they're just going to make you feel better? And that poisons that person with the way you describe the individual you're having the issue with.
Yeah. But I think one of the biggest issues is that people like to avoid conflict, right?
That's right.
That they don't like to engage in it. They will ignore it and hope it goes away or hope it gets better, right?
Yes.
You all, and we saw this in the video, you all have a really interesting technique that draws on your background in theater that helps you get your clients who are maybe conflict avoiders to actually participate and engage in healthy conflict. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Well, what we discovered is that if you can discover what it is that's a key conflict in an organization, what Susan and I do is we embody each side of the conflict. We will choose the essence of the conflict, take two sides, and then battle it out right at the beginning of our program. And when we really hit it well, people are watching and thinking, oh my God, look at them. That's terrible. But wait, that's me, or I've been there, and they begin to see themselves in the character. And then what we do is we take that scene and we begin to dissemble it and talk about how, if my character had raised the issue more effectively, if Susan's character had listened more effectively, and we never show two skilled actors at the same time. One of us always stays really, really difficult, because we don't want to look like, we're marching off into the sunset to live happily ever after. We want to make it real for people and to show them, even when the other person is not playing from the same sheet of music, what we teach really does work.
Oh, and then I think it's important. I mean, part of the secret sauce, so to speak, is we also, in our discovery period, when we are doing enough interviews to understand the organizational dynamics, we figure out 2 or 3 other scenarios that are bubbling under the surface. And after we have introduced our skills, demonstrated them, both the bad way in our drama and then the good way in our drama, we give them an opportunity to work with the scenarios we created. So everybody is also practicing and getting a chance to move from knowing and understanding to actually doing and behaving, because we are helping people to create a habit around communication mastery. And you don't create a habit if you don't have a chance to practice and apply.
Yeah. It's all too often when conflict occurs, it changes from being about the conflict to being about winning and losing, right?
Yeah.
To being about being right or wrong.
Yes.
How do you flip that to keep it about the issue versus you winning or losing an argument? I guess my question is, how do you keep it the resolution focused on the issue and not on the person or the people?
Well, let me give you one answer to that, because I'm going to try, Peter and I both, to say things today that our listeners can actually take from here and apply in their real life. So the one answer to that I think is very applicable is we really try to convert people to the idea that in a conflict, whether that be one-to-one or in a meeting, when you're trying to figure out what should we do next, what should our policy be, how do we want to do this program, that you train yourself to look for agreements. Because when you look for agreement, it is there to find. But if you notice what I'm about to say, if you just look for it in a 24-hour period, you will see it everywhere. When people have differences of opinion, that interaction tends to be about showing the other person the shortcomings in their thinking.
We waste more of our intellectual and emotional capital trying to persuade somebody that they're wrong. And every argument, whether you're in a meeting or one-to-one, there are always holes in that other person's argument.
Yeah.
I mean, they're always there, and you can find them and talk to those. But the reverse is also true.
Mm-hmm.
There are always places where we join, where we can find the common ground. And, it's such a simple psychological principle. What you look for is what you find. If you look for their holes, they're there. But if you look for the places that we agree and that we join, they're always there also. And when you put your energy there instead of on what we disagree with, that's where things begin to move in such an amazingly positive direction. People think it's like magic, but it's really, where do you put your focus?
And, I want to get back to how you initiated this topic, Paul, when you said most people are conflict avoidant. And I want to acknowledge there's no surprise there, right? Because most of us have experienced conflict as unpleasant and unproductive. I mean, we've seen it. It damages relationships. It makes problems worse. So it doesn't take long for people to say, if there's conflict, you will not find me anywhere around. And what I'd love our viewers to consider is that when conflict isn't working, it's really because we're unconscious as we navigate through it. So for example, someone says something or does something and we have a reaction. And so we say something or do something. And before long, in the bat of an eye, it accelerates. It goes to he said, she said, and before long, it's a conflict.
Because we're on autopilot. It's
Right.
not even thinking. We're just reacting the way we've reacted our entire life. And where do we get most of our conflict styles? From our parents. How well did they do it?
And so what we believe the action becomes is to turn conflict from autopilot to conscious. And that's what all of our teaching embraces. So here's a conscious model for raising delicate issues. Here's a conscious 5-step model for responding to criticism and anger. Here's a conscious model to take into your meetings so that when you have divergent points of view, you have a protocol to give everyone a chance to speak and you wind up with agreement. So when we can turn conflict conscious, then all kinds of wonderful things happen. In fact, we have a bar that we put out at the beginning of every class, and we ask people to take it on as their own. We believe conflict should turn into 3 things. An important problem is solved, a key relationship is strengthened, and trust is deepened.
Right.
And that can happen when people become fully conscious of how they navigate through conflict.
Fascinating stuff. That a conflict and kind of communications are kind of intangible, right? They're abstract, and yet the way you talk about it, it's almost like a muscle that needs to continue to be worked and flexed, right? So that it gets stronger.
Yes, well said.
Indeed.
I want to talk a little bit about some of the innovations that you have made in your space, and in particular, developing online delivery methods for your modules. Much of your work is in the C-suite, right, with the president or vice presidents of organizations, and yet we know culture's got to be bottom up, it's got to be top down, it's got to be horizontal, right? All different layers, and yet you're two people, right? So you've come up with ways to make sure that more people within the organization have access to your teachings. Talk a little bit about those variety of delivery methods that you have.
You know, for 10 years, we have struggled to go virtual, but it was hard because we were always on the road. Susan and I were on the road. I think one year we were here 85 days.
And we were on the road the other. We didn't
Wow.
even do the math because we didn't want to know the answer.
But it took a pandemic to stop us from getting in a cab, going to a hotel,
Getting on
presenting in
another
front of
airplane, going to another place, and you can only do so much creative and detailed thinking in that lifestyle. But when our plane landed in March 4th, 2020.
From New Zealand, we had just come back.
We have a wonderful and exciting consulting practice in New Zealand. This was our 19th year. We landed and realized within a week, life was going to be different.
Right.
And we thought the first thing we need to do is look at our calendar and check all the things that are going to be canceled. And that was a real crossroads for us, Paul. We said to each other in that moment, we have two choices here. One is to work night and day to figure out how to do this virtually as well as we do it on site. And the other is to say, we've had a great run. Our friends are retiring. We can do it too.
But then we thought, we don't want to
What are we going to do? We're not ready. We're just hitting our stride.
We're still learning about this.
So I know it's a cliche to say we work night and day and weekends, but we really did for 11 months to try to figure out how to take this body of work and make it work on the small screen virtually. And I remember a real turning point because I was exhausted and I was anxious. And I said to Peter, how is this ever going to happen? And he said, our expertise has always been pedagogy.
Right.
The science of teaching has always been our breakthrough. We just have to figure out how to do that in an environment at this point we know nothing about.
Right.
So we learned everything we could. Fortunately for us, our very first project was with the Pew Charitable Trusts. And many of your viewers will know that group. It is an unbelievable organization. Every great thing you think about it is true.
Well, it's the only group where both the Republicans and Democrats both look toward for reliable data.
So we had a big program for a grant we were working on with them that involved 10 states. So people were coming in from 10 states. We were going to go to DC. And they said, the people who were running the grant, of course, we're canceling the DC convening. Right. But if you say you can do it virtually, we'll do it.
And we said, sure.
Sure, we can do it virtually.
Absolutely.
And then we said, how are we going to do this virtually?
I said, I don't know. And that's when we were up nights just trying to figure this out. And finally, we did our first session. We had 10 breakout rooms, one for each of the 10 states in this grant we were doing. And it was a horrifying experience, I have to say. I mean, we had these wonderful people in cyberspace saying, I'm supposed to be in Mississippi, y'all. You got me in Kansas. Get me back to Mississippi. And I'm calling our staff saying, they're in the wrong rooms. And they're saying, so that was the rocky start.
In the end, as we really did figure out this incredible puzzle, it was always threading that needle between being exhilarated and terrorized. And we kept going back and forth. But in the end, the exhilaration worked. And I will tell you, we are convinced now that our virtual learning is stronger than our on-site. Now, it does depend on the metric you're using. Because our virtual learning, a lot of it happens in breakout rooms. We always have a trained facilitator. So it's 1 on 8 at the most. So every 8 people gets this valuable professional feedback. When we're live, we also do practice, because we already shared with you that how can you create a habit around communication mastery if you don't have a chance to practice it?
Right.
But it's less controlled in a big room where people are meeting with a learning partner. So our virtual learning now has received incredible international acclaim, and it is the part of our work that I believe we're most proud of
Now,
now.
if your metric though is camaraderie
Right.
and bonding and a certain kind of team building that way,
Right.
it's not as good as being together with other people.
Yeah, it's hard to network on Zoom. Not impossible, but it's
Harder.
not like being with people. So, it depends on the metric you're measuring with. I am so full out excited about virtual learning now. I don't remember ever being this thrilled about something.
Despite that, I have to say we're starting to get calls now. People want us to be live.
Right.
Some people want us to do combinations where we're part virtual, part live. So, but I think virtual will be here to stay, because large corporations are realizing it really saves a lot of money not to have to send everybody to a faraway place, put them up in a hotel, feed them.
Right.
So I think we're going to see a lot more virtual than we have in the past.
And what it seems to be, at least now, and again, we're just beginning to come out of COVID, but it does seem as if people also like the idea that they can experience our content through our online, on-demand, self-paced videos. You don't have to get all these people together in the same room at the same time to get the same content. And then we come in live to do the practice and the application and that sort of real-time discussion. So we're pretty sure that virtual will be here for a very long time.
And I'll tell you the favorite feedback that we get. People come on for our 2-hour and 15-minute program and they say, it was amazing. I never looked at my phone. I never double tasked. I mean, I always double task in meetings. So that it's been very enjoyable that they're tight enough that people hang on and stay every moment when we're with them.
Amazing. If people can't attend one of your seminars or participate in the virtual space, you all, in addition to the numerous academic articles that you've published, have now just put out your 3rd book, Be Quiet, Be Heard, The Paradox of Persuasion. Can you
Yes.
talk a little bit more about the central purpose of that book?
Yes. Well, the title explains a lot of it. Be quiet, be heard. The Paradox of Persuasion. It's actually, that title was motivated by a quote from Aristotle in 470 BC when he said, "The fool persuades me with his reasons, the wise man persuades me with my own." And really what he was saying was, it really depends on your ability to keep your mouth shut and listen and really understand who that other person or that other audience is that you're speaking to, because it's therein where the seeds of opportunity to move an audience exist. And so, be quiet, be heard, the paradox of persuasion, that's how we can really influence people when they really believe that we understand where they're coming from. This is not some generic thing that we're putting out there. It's for this person at this moment in time.
And I think also we were just maybe a week ago, we were contacted by Amazon that they want to include Be Quiet, Be Heard as part of their Audible series.
Wow.
So for any of your viewers who are Audible members, that's going to be an option. And Peter and I are the ones who actually read the book.
So the book is divided into 3 sections too. Section 1 is about this whole piece on conflict and how to navigate through that. The second part is when you're now in with other people in teams, and you're trying to figure out, and you've got half the group wanting to go in one direction, the other half going in the other. It shows how you get everybody on the same page together, feeling good about the process, but most importantly, owning the solution at the other end. And then the third part is now you're in front of an audience, whether it be live or virtual, and you need to move them to action. How do you do that in a very systematic way?
And just to clarify too, those 3 segments are the 3 main courses that we bring to organizations, and they are the 3 main courses that we offer virtually. In fact, I was thinking we should have done this at the beginning. We should have talked about it, but it's an idea that I'm pretty sure will work. We can create a code for your viewers, let's say Penn State alums, and the code will offer them a 59% discount on our videos. So let's just say right now, I'm going to write it down because we're going to have our business manager make it happen. But the code will be like hashtag PSU 2021. Let's call it that. And we need to have like 24, 48 hours to make that work, but we can do that.
Excellent. And we will get that information out to you, our viewers, if you would like that information. And if you're excited about what you're hearing from the Glazers today, we'll make sure that we put that in the follow-up email for those of you who have registered for this session. When you're quoting Aristotle, it reminded me of the Lin-Manuel Miranda Hamilton, right? Talk less, smile more, right?
Right, I forgot about that. Right.
That's good.
So,
well, yeah.
So in 2017, you all were named outstanding alumni by the College of the Liberal Arts here at Penn State. What does that recognition mean to the both of you?
Oh, gosh. I mean,
we were surprised at how much it meant to us. I mean, here we are at the apex of our career, moving and shaking and going all around the world, teaching our work. And this came to us and just filled our hearts. We were so honored to receive it. And then I have to say, our time on campus when we went for the weekend to receive the award and to meet the incredible people at the College of Arts and Science faculty, and to spend time with them and to meet the new students and to speak to them. I mean, it was so filling. It was heart happy.
yeah.
And I have such concrete memories of that that are with me to this second.
Well, we hadn't been back in over a decade. And to see how the campus grew, to see that, what was the place we always had breakfast every morning?
The corner room.
The corner room there.
And they still had that special where you could get 2 sunny side up eggs and bacon and toast for like $2.
That's right, the breakfast special.
And there was a woman there, and I said to Peter, I think that woman, she was a hostess or something. I think she was there when we were there. Go up and ask her. And he said, no, you go up and ask her. So I went up and said, is there any chance you were here when we were graduate students?
In the 60s?
And she said, I've been here my whole life.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even getting to do that sort of thing.
But it really was such an honor because we were so impressed with so many of the people who we went to school with and who taught us, and and just to be able to go back and be with these people. And
I do want to say one other thing about it. We were so impressed with the faculty right now. I mean, when we went to school, when we went to graduate school, our faculty was extraordinary. I mean, not just subjectively, but those were the people who were presenting at national conventions. We knew they were extraordinary. And when we went back, this faculty was extraordinary. I mean, it was mind-blowing at their ability and their productivity and their commitment to the field and also to educating their students.
And I think I might have mentioned briefly earlier, I don't think it was on recording though, when we went to Sparks Building, walking around on the third floor looking for anybody we knew, but everybody was gone. And this one elderly looking gentleman came over and he said, "Could I help you two?" And we explained we're from the University of Oregon, but we got our degrees together here. And he got a big smile on his face and he said, "I know you. You're the Glasers." And we thought, "How could you know us? Who are you?" And he said, "I was a student at the University of Oregon." And I thought, oh my God, this old man was a student of us. How old are we?
And he said, and then I got so excited in the field that I went on for my PhD and I got a job at Penn State and here I am.
It's interesting, the connections. I know you're connected. You have a daughter, Avery, at the University of Oregon, freshman, and we'll have to look her up and see how she's doing.
she's doing quite well, better than her dad ever did in college. So she's doing just fine. You mentioned Emma Gonzalez. Emma was the host at the Corner Room for almost 60 years. She retired about 3 years ago and unfortunately passed away just last year. But she was a legend here in Happy Valley, right? Everybody knew Emma when they went into the Corner Room, and she didn't remember everybody's name, but she remembered every person. She would remember that I was the alumni guy and that I wanted to sit in Joe's booth, and she'd always seat me over there. So yeah, she's a gem.
Yeah, we got to get back. Real
Absolutely. This is the Penn State Alumni Association's Coffee Hour. I'm Paul Clifford. I'm joined by Peter and Susan Glaser. They're internationally renowned authors and researchers and communications consultants. Well, we like to have a little bit of fun as we wrap up here on Coffee Hour. So I'm going to throw you a couple quick hitters and you just tell me the first thing that comes to mind. So first, your favorite class at Penn State.
Favorite what?
Favorite class at Penn State.
Oh.
I'm gonna have to go with I can't remember the number of it, but it was, we talked about, I think it was speech 412 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a class that introduced how communication affects every single aspect of your life. And Peter went on to teach that as a graduate student, which was sort of unheard of. And remember, and he turned out to be one of our friends, a student of Peter's, John Lang, created with that class a thing called Gentle Thursday, who I know some of your viewers experienced because it went on for decades.
For decades, yeah. And the assignment that I had given the class was, you need to come up with something that's different, that nobody has ever done before. And so John came up with Gentle Thursday and it really took hold.
And the whole town would give people little flowers and say, give these to somebody. And
that's amazing.
Yeah, it was. So I think, and we were talking about that as a class that was sort of life-changing.
You know, we both you took mine away, but the other one I really liked was the basic speech course was so fundamental to our whole grounding as professors later and then as entrepreneurs, because the courses that we taught at the basic level really does represent a lot of the fundamentals of what we do today. So that was very impactful.
How about if you could have dinner with anybody, who would it be and why?
Anybody in the world or anybody
in the world?
Oh, in the whole world.
In the whole world. I think.
Did they have to be alive?
Yes, I would have. Could you pick, could I pick a couple? Or
Go for it.
Okay, I would pick Barack and Michelle.
They are popular dinner mates. You're not the first to pick the Obamas to have dinner with. How about you, Peter?
Well, I would pick this couple who put on a marital communication workshop that we went to. It was last year. And
Your viewers might know these people, the Gottmans, John and
John Gottman from the University of Washington and his wife. And I thought, you know, we're a team. They're a team. I want to see how a married couple does things similar to what we do. And I really, it was a great course, and I'd love to sit down and have dinner and really share some of our life experiences, spending our lives together with our spouses, working, teaching, learning.
That's amazing. How about your most unusual "we are" moment, right? Where you're wearing Penn State gear and someone shouts "we are," and it just catches you off guard.
Yeah.
So we were in the wilderness in New Zealand, in the
Okay.
mountains, in the wilderness, the St. Joseph Glacier, and there were three younger women with Penn State garb of various kinds. And I said, Sue, let's just try this out. And I yelled, "We are!" And they swung around like Penn State.
And you know, that has happened to us all over the world.
Oh, and then we were in a department store recently, and a Penn Stater walked by us in San Francisco, and Susan.
And he said,
"No, first you said,
oh.
Go State," and he went, "We are."
and about 2 years ago, we did a tour of India and 6 countries in the area,
Right.
the Asia Pacific. And I can't remember which one. It was either Singapore or Hong Kong, or it might have even been the Philippines. But there was a person, we didn't even know if this person spoke English, but he had on a Penn State baseball hat. And we said, "We are," and he said Penn State.
Just one more quick one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Rose Bowl, 1995, Oregon versus Penn State.
Right.
Susan and I were, we're in both now. We loved them both. And so we were singing both fight songs. And these Penn Staters in front of us finally turned around and said, "Who are you for anyway?" We said,
we can't lose today.
"Yeah, we're for both of you." Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, hey, and finally, your favorite Penn State sport?
Oh, football.
Yeah.
Although I have to say, football for sure. That's my answer. But now, if you want to flash backward to when I was an undergrad,
right?
I had an unbelievable crush on Steve Cohen, I think was his name, and he was an incredible gymnast. Okay. And if any of your viewers remember Steve Cohen, and if any of them have had a crush on him, you'll know what I mean. I mean, it was my only sport then. I wasn't at all into sport except men's gymnastics.
That's amazing. Well, we want to thank you for joining us and for allowing us to share your story on Coffee Hour. If people want to learn more about your work, where can they go?
The best place is to go to theglasers.com, and everything is there. Also, and we'll figure out a way to do this with you too, Paul, we have every Tuesday, we publish what we call a communication capsule, which is a research-based tip on communication at work and at home. And you can read them in 2 minutes, but we always link to the original research. So if people want to get on the list of our communication capsules, we'll figure out a way to make it easy for them to do that.
Excellent. I know Sarah just dropped the link for theglasers.com in the chat box, and we'll put that out on Facebook as well. Thank you so much for joining us and for allowing us to share your story.
It was more fun than we thought, and we thought it was going to be a lot of fun.
Wonderful. And thank you to our guests for joining us. We appreciate your support. If you're a member of the Penn State Alumni Association, thank you, thank you, thank you. If you're not, what are you waiting for? Go to our website at alumni.psu.edu, and you too can become a member of the world's largest alumni association. Thanks for all you do for the university, for the glory, and for the future. We are
Penn State!